The ACC is loaded with questions this spring. Clemson, are they going to have pass catchers up there? Cade Klubnik's going to be the guy whose name's on the marquee, the quarterback. Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator, his name's going to be on the marquee, new offense. Good. It was a needed change. Credit Dabo Swinney for finally pulling the trigger on that front. Now I need to know, you guys got someone to catch the ball? I really miss the days where I looked at Clemson's receiver core and said the things about them that now we say about Ohio State or Bama in most years. I used to say that about Clemson. I don't say it so much anymore. I don't think it's any small coincidence that's coincided with them not falling off a cliff, but sort of taking a little step back. They're not on the front line anymore. They're behind the front line. They're kind of trying to make themselves tall enough to peek over the front line. That's not where Clemson belongs. They belong on the front line. They're top pass catchers last season. If you're listening on podcast and you can't see the fancy graphic here on the screen, how many players do you think they had go over 600 yards receiving last year? And what if I told you the answer was 1? What if I put the over-under at 1.5 and said the under hits? In fact, they only had 2 of them over 400. They only had 3 of them over 400 yards. And 2 of those 3 departed for the NFL draft. So, yeah, we got some work to do there. Now, who knows? It could very well be that a lot of those pieces are good enough. They just need to be put in a different system. We've seen it happen before. So I'm not dismissing that possibility. When will we know about Florida State? You know, they played Duke in week 1, and I know people are going to overlook that game. I probably will too. Sorry. Duke was a 9-win team last year. I just don't really think people remember that. And if you do, just credit you, because I still have not properly categorized Duke in the Mike Elko era. That was one of the biggest surprises last year to me. But anyway, they played Duke, Charleston Southern, Florida Atlantic, and then FSU comes to town in week 4. Speaking of the Seminoles down in Tallahassee, a lot of excitement with the offense. A lot of excitement with Jordan Travis coming back. There should be a ton of excitement. I got a question that we'll probably do on the Late Kick Extra Pod on Tuesday about that very thing. I think I said the other day, FSU has legs. They don't skip legs, you know, like some folks do, especially this time of year. The resolutionists in the gym, chest on Monday, arms on Tuesday, back to chest on Wednesday, just popcorn muscles, essentially. They skip legs. Florida State didn't skip legs. I said that on the show the other day. No one had a clue what I was talking about, metaphorical speaking at its finest. I'll talk about that on Tuesday. But as for tonight, 156.4 yards per rush. Well, not yard, that would be a record. Yards per game rushing. That's what their run defense gave up last year. Not too good. That's 75th in FBS. We got to improve. And they lost Robert Cooper, who was one of their better run stoppers. Now, as usual, Mike Norvell has dipped himself into the transfer portal. They may not even be done doing that. So there's going to be a lot of excitement. There should. I will be contributing to it. But we can't have things like we're watching on the screen now happen. We can't just have Will Shipley running free. That was a close game. That was a competitive game. They lost 3 games in a row in ACC play that sort of knocked them out of contention, and we're watching chunk runs that happened in pretty much all of them. So we'll be watching that in spring. What about down at Miami? This offense, period. Not even a specific unit. Sure, we can talk about Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback, but this entire offense, Shannon Dawson is the offensive coordinator there, which I don't think a lot of people had in their bingo sheet. Bring in Broyles Award winner Josh Gaddis, and it just is a tire fire. The offense never got off the ground, and then all of a sudden, he's out after 1 year. I know a lot of you made fun of Mario Cristobal. It was a bad hire. That's obvious now. To hit the dump button after 1 year is not easy. It's easy to say he should do it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. They did it, so credit them. Now they brought in Shannon Dawson. He's from Houston, by the way. And now some of the same pieces are still there. Tyler Van Dyke's still there. He had 1,000 less passing yards last year than he did the year before. I think folks forgot he knows how to play football. Tyler Van Dyke's still a very good player. And there are some good players offensively they have, period, that were just put in no-win situations last year. Offense, I know you can judge it on one hand, but on the other hand, when you're asking me how will Miami look moving forward, I'm not basing a ton of my expectation on last year because there's hardly anything from last year that this year's offense will resemble. They're not trying to do the same thing. They're not trying to read from the same playbook or operate from the same playbook. None of that. North Carolina, I don't think it's a big shock to you. There's not a question at offense or not a question at quarterback at least. But defensively, they were 116th last year in pass defense. They lost 2 corners to the portal. They're replacing their defensive backs coach, Dre Bly's, off to the NFL. They just need to be good. They don't need to be great. They do have Drake May. They do have a future first-round caliber quarterback. They do have the ability to score points offensively, but you got to be better than 104th in the country in points per game given up. You got to be better than all those stats. All the defensive stats were in the hundreds. Not good. There's no excuse for it. The entire ACC, minus a few exceptions in any given year, you look at where they are geographically, and you think to yourself, how is there this much collective averageness, average affity, if you will, up and down the Atlantic coast? It's just someone somewhere outside of Clemson, someone somewhere said, good enough is enough. And the rest of the conference said, we can get behind that. Good enough is enough. Let's just make us a good old-fashioned bowl game, and you're not okay, we're not okay, but that's okay because average is okay. There's no excuse for it. So one of the places that the conference needs to get better is North Carolina's got to pick it up on defense. Virginia Tech, I would love to exit spring and hear people in Blacksburg saying, you know what? This offense looks a little different. Offense looks a lot more promising. Brought in Kyron Drones from Baylor. He's battling Grant Wells, the incumbent at quarterback, which doesn't mean anything when you were 118th in the country in points per game last year. 18.5, by the way. That was their points per game offensively. Abysmal. I greatly miss the days when that VT logo meant something different than it does now. Now it just means a little breather in conference play. Can you believe I said that? It's accurate. It's not disrespectful. It's just accurate until further notice. So I would just love to see signs of life offensively. 303.4 yards per game. Jesse tells me that's what they gave up on average last year. That is 118th. No, that's what they got. That's what they gained last year. Yeah, defense, offense, whatever. They got to be a lot better. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of units that need vast amounts of improvement. You won't get there fully in the spring, but hopefully we can get a little ways there.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, that's how we keep this entire thing free.